Hey, so I am Tina Whittington. I'm the Executive Vice President of Students for Life, and I'm excited to have with us here today Tony McFadden, who is our Minority Outreach Director. And so we're just gonna have a little conversation about how to get your group, your Students for Life group, more engaged with minority students on campus. So welcome, Tony.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so the first question that comes to mind, especially with our students, is how can Students for Life groups connect with minority students?
Well, I think it's really important, first of all, to know the programs that are on your campus. Because how are you going to reach out to people if you don't know what kind of things they're interested in? So first thing I would do is find out what groups the minorities are in and try to connect with them in some kind of way. Maybe going to their group and visiting and kind of getting into their environment.
So maybe even reach out to the exec board of that group, and what would you say to them? Like, what do you want to do when you connect with them?
Well, I personally feel that when someone has just an agenda, it doesn't come across as genuine. So I would say the first thing to do is just engage with where they're at, kind of visit whatever group that they're in and just kind of see how things are going there. Maybe connect with the president or whoever's the leader of the group, and something simple as, hey, can we go to lunch, or can we talk about, I would love to know more about your group. I have a group on campus too, and I just want to get to know you and see what kind of impact you're having on campus. And you might find a common ground where you can begin to build something upon that, because it's really all about relationship.
So even if the group maybe isn't necessarily against abortion, that there are things you think we could find common ground on as two groups on campus.
There's always common ground somewhere, and that's the strongest place I believe that you can build upon.
Great. So now, how does a group keep moving forward? Because sometimes that's an easy conversation, and there comes a really clear, natural common ground. Sometimes you feel like there's a roadblock there. So like, how does a group keep pursuing this if maybe they feel like they've received a shut door or they don't know where the common ground is?
I would just keep going. It's going to come around eventually. And as I said before, with the whole agenda thing, you don't know where people are coming from. So if you genuinely care about them and you keep showing up and you keep showing that you care about them and you want to provide information for them, you want to understand where they're coming from, that is going to pay off eventually. You can't win over everyone, you know, and I really think it's caring about people exactly where they're at. And, you know, connection is really powerful, especially now that we haven't had much connection face to face. I think people are longing for real authenticity when it comes to that. So I would say just keep at it. And everything doesn't have to be about race. It's just caring for the person in front of you and truly, genuinely getting to know them.
But do you think it's a barrier sometimes? Because some of our groups are maybe they're very religious oriented, or maybe they are all white students. Do you feel like that sometimes could create a barrier for some of the minority students to want to participate?
It might, but I mean, when it comes down to it, we're all human beings that want to connect. And I honestly feel that, going back to my original point, common ground. It's the whole connection piece and relationship building. So I think if people really understand that you're not just after an agenda, but you just really want to get to know them and invite them in and have an ongoing, even if it's just one person, that build on that. It doesn't have to be like every single group.
So when a group decides we want to invite people to our event, so, you know, there's different kinds of things that student groups do on campus. Should a first invite into their world be something that's maybe more relational or fun, or a movie, or I know we do a lot of hard things like tabling or going from an abortion facility to pray. So like, what might be the first step to like invite that either minority group or students into what the Students for Life group is doing on campus?
See, I'm totally not about like this is how we should do this. I really believe you got to know them to know what kind of feel them out. And if you feel like they're ready to jump right in, you've got to be listening to kind of their language too, and how, you know, the conversation that you have with them is going to kind of tell you. But I think having a low-key light is always safe.
Yeah.
You know, having a movie night, maybe just an introduction of groups getting together and say, we just want to have like a get together to get to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Food is always helpful. So food, anything like that, a movie, anything low-key. I say go the food route because that way, not only can you eat, but you actually get to have conversations where a movie
You're not talking to each
you're
other.
not
Yeah,
talking
for
to
sure.
each other. So any kind of environment that's going to get you to be able to have a conversation and not be so intense or, again, I said this a million times, agenda focused, I think would be amazing. So
Yeah. That's great. Well, I think that those are all great things that student groups can take tips. Find the groups on campus, reach out, start off with a lunch or coffee to get to know them. Don't be agenda driven. And then the last thing you said was invite them into something that's maybe more low-key and relational, and not focus on something that's intense or even a movie night, which would be low-key but isn't relational. No, that's good. Well, thank you for joining us and answering some of these questions for our student groups.
You're welcome. Thanks.